Ethan Wallace was a vibrant 76-year-old who lived alone in a quiet neighborhood just outside of Denver, Colorado. A retired high school principal, Ethan kept a strict routine: daily walks, crossword puzzles, and early morning showers to start his day. Friends admired his independence, his clarity of mind, and the way he insisted on taking care of himself without being a burden on his children. But one chilly Thursday morning in February, everything changed. His daughter, Ava, arrived to drop off groceries and found Ethan collapsed on the bathroom floor, still soaked from the shower. He never made it to the hospital. What no one realized, not even Ethan, was that the simple act of showering at a certain time of day had put his life at risk. Medical experts now call this the most dangerous window of the day for seniors, a time when the body's defenses are weakest and the risk of fatal incidents spikes dramatically. If you or someone you love is over 70 and still showers first thing in the morning, this video could save a life. You're about to discover shocking truths, heartbreaking stories, and, most importantly, life-saving solutions. The morning Ethan died, everything had seemed normal. The sun hadn't yet risen when he stepped into his bathroom at 5:45 a.m., ready to begin his routine. He turned on the hot water, as he always did, letting the warmth ease the stiffness in his joints. He didn't know that this seemingly harmless act, something he'd done for decades, would be his last. Medical investigators later determined that Ethan suffered a sudden cardiovascular collapse, triggered by what's now being called a morning surge, a sharp and dangerous spike in blood pressure that occurs naturally between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., particularly in adults over 70. Dr. Henry Ramirez, a geriatric cardiovascular specialist in Colorado Springs, explained it clearly. During these early hours, the body's internal systems are in flux. Blood pressure surges rapidly, heart rate becomes erratic, and the circulatory system is highly sensitive to stressors, especially hot water and standing up too quickly. What's worse, Ethan had taken his blood pressure medication just moments before showering. A deadly combination. This created a dual effect. The medication was actively lowering his pressure while his body was attempting to surge. The result? His blood flow to the brain was drastically reduced. Within seconds, he lost consciousness. Tragically, no one was there to help him. The house was silent. His daughter Ava usually called around 9 a.m., but by the time she arrived to check in, it was already too late. The Wallace family was devastated, not only by the suddenness of the loss, but by the realization that it had been entirely preventable. They weren't the only ones. Across the country, similar stories were unfolding. Sophia Barnes, a 74-year-old retired librarian in Arizona, was hospitalized after slipping and fracturing her pelvis during a 6 a.m. shower. Her doctors found she was suffering from orthostatic hypotension, a condition where blood pressure plummets upon standing, made worse by morning dehydration. Then there was Leonard Brooks, 81, from Ohio, who suffered a mini-stroke in the shower, the result of a hot water temperature shock that overwhelmed his thermoregulation. "I just remember seeing stars," he later recalled from his hospital bed. "Then I woke up on the floor." These stories aren't isolated. They're part of a growing trend that medical professionals have been warning about, but that the public remains dangerously unaware of. And it all centers around one crucial thing: timing. What Ethan, Sophia, and Leonard didn't know was that their early morning showers were putting immense strain on their aging bodies. The body's natural defenses, blood pressure regulation, temperature control, balance, and cognition, are all at their weakest just after waking. Ethan's death wasn't caused by illness, neglect, or lack of care. It was caused by a routine, a habit done at the wrong time. But now this knowledge can help others avoid the same fate. Charlotte Monroe had always been a creature of habit. At 72, she was still spry and energetic, the type of grandmother who played on the floor with her grandkids and volunteered twice a week at the community library in Tampa, Florida. Her mornings began the same way every day: a 5:30 a.m. shower, a cup of chamomile tea, and a crossword puzzle before sunrise. But one morning, her routine betrayed her. As she stepped into the shower, Charlotte felt a faint wave of dizziness, something she brushed off as nothing. She gripped the safety bar, something her daughter had insisted on installing years ago. But within seconds, her legs buckled. The next thing she knew, she was lying on the tile floor, unable to move. Water still running, warm turning cold. She had fractured her pelvis in the fall. When paramedics finally arrived nearly an hour later, alerted by her neighbor who noticed her porch light still on, they found her trembling, disoriented, and in excruciating pain. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital, then another 6 weeks in a rehabilitation center, struggling to relearn how to walk. Her independence was shattered in a matter of seconds. Doctors later told Charlotte that her fall was caused by a mix of low blood pressure due to her medication and early morning dehydration. Even worse, the hot water triggered a drop in her blood pressure so rapid that her brain couldn't compensate fast enough to keep her conscious. It wasn't a freak accident. It was the result of a dangerous combination of conditions she had never been warned about. Charlotte wasn't alone. Around the same time, a man named Mason Hughes, 78 in Oregon, experienced a near-fatal episode after showering at 6 a.m. on a cold January morning. The sudden transition from a warm bed to a steaming shower caused a drop in blood pressure that left him unconscious. He hit his head on the sink, suffering a concussion and minor brain bleed. His wife found him moments later and called 911. A lucky break that may have saved his life. Neither Charlotte nor Mason had ever been told that mornings are a risky time for seniors to shower. No one had explained the way medication, hydration, and body temperature regulation all interact with the body's natural rhythms. And no one had warned them that, after 70, even simple routines need reconsideration. That's when the message became clear. Routine can be dangerous if we don't adapt it to our age. The unexpected falls, the dizziness, the confusion. They weren't isolated incidents. They were red flags, waving in the dark of early morning. Warnings that too many seniors ignore until it's too late. Charlotte now showers at 11 a.m. and hydrates with a full glass of water before stepping into the bathroom. She also keeps a waterproof emergency button within reach, because sometimes saving your life starts with a single change in your routine. For years, Oliver Grant never questioned his morning habits. A retired military veteran living in Boise, Idaho, Oliver prided himself on discipline. Wake at 5 a.m., stretch, shower, then make breakfast for himself and his golden retriever, Buddy. It gave his day structure, and to him, structure was survival. But after hearing about Charlotte's story during a local senior health seminar, something shifted in him. "I always thought I was doing everything right," Oliver said. "I exercised, ate well, took my pills on time. But I never once thought the timing of my shower could be dangerous." That night, he went home and replayed the seminar in his mind. The doctor's calm but urgent voice explaining the morning surge, the dangerous dip in hydration, and the risk associated with medication interactions. He recalled how they emphasized that after 70, your body responds differently, slowly, less predictably. For the first time in his life, Oliver questioned his own routine. That same week, he adjusted everything. No more 5:30 a.m. showers. Instead, he started waiting until 11 a.m. after a full glass of water and a light breakfast. He consulted his physician about the timing of his medication, spacing it away from physical activity and showers. "I'll be honest," he said with a chuckle. "It felt weird at first, like breaking a lifelong rule. But then I realized something. Survival isn't about sticking to old rules. It's about adapting to new realities." And it wasn't just his own safety he thought about. After what happened to his late friend Harold, who had a fatal heart attack in the shower at 6 a.m., Oliver began speaking up. He started conversations at his local VFW post, encouraging fellow veterans to rethink their morning routines. He even helped install grab bars and night lights in a few of their homes. It was no longer just about him, it was about community. His daughter Zoe, who lived 2 states away, said the change gave her peace of mind she didn't even know she needed. "I used to worry every time he didn't answer his phone before noon," she said. "Now I know he's awake, alert, and safe." Oliver's perspective had transformed completely. He no longer saw his routines as symbols of discipline, but as tools that needed to evolve with time. The idea that small changes, like adjusting a shower schedule or drinking a glass of water, could prevent tragedy, reshaped how he approached aging altogether. "Aging doesn't mean giving up control," he said. "It means learning where the real dangers are and doing something about them." What began as a quiet change in his personal schedule became a message he now carries to everyone in his circle. The strongest thing you can do at this age is adapt. After her frightening fall in the bathroom, Victoria Ellis, a 79-year-old former art teacher from Santa Fe, could have chosen to retreat. The incident had left her shaken, bruised, and deeply afraid. For weeks, even walking past the bathroom door gave her anxiety. But her story didn't end there. With the encouragement of her granddaughter, Madeline, Victoria began physical therapy. What started as simple stretching soon became an awakening. Her therapist, Jonah, didn't just focus on strength. He asked about her daily habits, and when Victoria mentioned her 6 a.m. showers, his face changed. "Let's talk about that," he said gently. "That time of day might be working against you." He explained the science, how hydration, blood pressure meds, cognitive fog, and early morning body temperature dips were all colliding in dangerous ways. Victoria was stunned. No doctor had ever explained this to her before. But that's when something inside her shifted. A spark. "I'm not powerless," she thought. "I can change this." Victoria dove into research. She read about safe showering hours, hydration rituals, and even sleep cycles. She talked to her doctor, who adjusted her medication schedule. Then she called her son-in-law, a contractor, and had him install motion-activated night lights, a low-threshold shower entry, and non-slip flooring. And she didn't stop there. Victoria joined a local senior wellness group and began sharing what she'd learned. What started as casual conversations became full-on presentations. She brought charts, shared her story, and even demonstrated her morning safety routine, which included drinking a glass of water, waiting at least 2 hours after medication, and showering between 10 a.m. and noon with a waterproof emergency call button within reach. The response was overwhelming. Other seniors began making the same changes. One woman, Evelyn, who had survived a mini stroke in the shower 2 years prior, told Victoria that her guidance had given me my mornings back. A man named Raymond stopped showering before dawn and noticed his dizzy spells disappeared. It was a movement, small, local, but powerful. Victoria had found not only a safer way to live, but a new purpose. Instead of fearing the bathroom, she transformed it into a sanctuary, brightly lit, accessible, and designed around her current needs. She even added a speaker that played her favorite symphonies while she showered, turning a once scary space into a place of calm and joy. Getting older doesn't mean giving up your habits, she told the group one morning. It means updating them, like software. Same you, just smarter and safer. For Victoria, the fall was no longer the end of a chapter. It was the start of something better, a life where she felt in control again, where she wasn't just surviving but thriving. And the opportunity, it was always there. All it took was a shift in mindset and a little knowledge. Before her accident, Victoria Ellis thought strength meant doing everything on her own. As a widow living alone in Santa Fe, she had always prided herself on not needing help. After all, she was the one others leaned on, the matriarch, the teacher, the rock. But after her fall, she came face to face with a terrifying realization. Independence without information could be dangerous. At first, the experience left her rattled. Showers became a source of anxiety. She began tiptoeing through her mornings with dread, convinced she might fall again. Her granddaughter Madeline noticed the change and gently said, "You're still strong, Grandma, but you don't have to do this alone." That was the moment Victoria allowed herself to evolve. She began asking for help, not because she was weak, but because she was wise. She called her doctor to discuss safe routines. She connected with neighbors and arranged regular morning check-ins. She invited a local safety consultant to evaluate her home, and together they made small yet life-changing improvements. Grab bars, better lighting, non-slip mats, and a lower shower bench. And with every adjustment, something deeper began to shift inside her. She stopped seeing her age as a limitation and started embracing it as a phase that simply required a different kind of strength. The strength to adapt, to stay curious, and to keep learning. She read articles from Harvard's aging research, watched seminars on senior health, and even attended workshops on circadian rhythm and cognitive alertness. Soon, Victoria was mentoring others. Neighbors started dropping by with questions. Local seniors who had heard her story asked if they could see her bathroom setup. What had once been a private struggle became a community transformation. She helped install emergency buttons in a dozen homes and co-hosted a Safe Morning Awareness Day at the community center. The local newspaper even ran a feature on her titled, "The Woman Who Made Showering Safer for Seniors." But for Victoria, the greatest growth was internal. She no longer saw safety precautions as signs of decline, but as declarations of self-worth. Each change she made said, "I matter, my life matters, and I choose to protect it." Her family noticed the change too. Madeline said, "It's like she's glowing again. She's not just back to her old self. She's stronger, wiser, and more open than ever." Victoria's mindset had shifted completely. Where once she clung to outdated habits out of pride, she now embraced modern knowledge out of purpose. Where once she feared what aging might take from her, she now focused on what it could give her: perspective, clarity, and the power to lead by example. A single fall had threatened her independence, but it had also planted a seed. And now, through learning, action, and community, That seed had grown into something stronger than she ever imagined, a legacy of safety and empowerment. As Victoria stood in her newly renovated bathroom, sunlight pouring through the frosted window, she felt something unexpected: peace. It had been 3 months since her fall, and in that time, she had transformed her fear into action, her isolation into community, and her morning routine into a symbol of strength. She reached for the water, now set to a safe, lukewarm temperature, and smiled as her waterproof speaker played a soft cello melody. But it wasn't just about the shower anymore. It was about choice. Victoria had taken a painful, frightening moment and turned it into a movement, not just for herself, but for others. In her journey, she had learned that safety isn't the opposite of independence. It's the foundation of it. That knowledge and preparation are gifts we give ourselves when our bodies begin to change. And most importantly, she realized this: aging gracefully doesn't mean resisting change. It means embracing it. Across town, others were doing the same. Ethan's daughter, Ava, started a local awareness group after learning about her father's passing. Oliver, the retired vet, had begun mentoring younger seniors, handing out hydration checklists and sharing his 10 a.m. rule. Charlotte turned her recovery story into a video blog that quickly gained thousands of views, proof that vulnerability can inspire strength in others. Their stories echoed the same truth. When we talk about our struggles, we protect each other. When we share what we learn, we save lives. Now, every time Victoria turns on the water, it feels like an act of defiance against fear. It's not just about hygiene. It's about claiming her mornings with intention, wisdom, and confidence. She'd even written a small note that hung by her mirror. You don't have to be fearless to be safe. You just have to be informed. That message, simple as it was, began to spread. Neighbors taped it in their bathrooms. Her granddaughter, Madeline, shared it at school for a project on intergenerational care. One line, born from experience, began to ripple through homes, clinics, and community centers across the state. Because this wasn't just a personal recovery, it was a cultural shift. Too often, seniors are told to be careful without being told how. Too many live with silent risks that could be prevented with just a little awareness. But now, through the voices of people like Victoria, Ethan, Charlotte, and Oliver, a new wave of senior advocacy is growing. Aging isn't the end of the road. It's the start of a wiser one. And every safe shower, every informed choice, and every shared story is a victory. So ask yourself, what time do you shower? And more importantly, are you ready to change it? Growing older is not a weakness. It's an opportunity to grow wiser. But wisdom only matters when it's acted upon. The tragic truth is that something as routine as taking a morning shower can become a silent threat if we're not paying attention. Yet this very danger holds within it a powerful lesson. Life doesn't stop after 70, but it does require new rules. We're taught to be strong, to maintain our independence. But true strength is in recognizing when it's time to adapt. Changing your shower time isn't giving up control. It's reclaiming it. It's saying, I want to stay here longer. I want to live not just longer, but smarter. Safety isn't a restriction, it's a gift. It gives you time, more mornings with your loved ones, more chances to laugh, to walk, to create. And in a world where time is precious, that's everything. Here's your simple, actionable checklist to protect yourself starting tomorrow morning. Checkmark. Hydrate. Drink a full glass of water 15 minutes before your shower. Reschedule. Shift your shower between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Your body is most stable then. Separate. Never shower within 2 hours of taking blood pressure medication. Adjust temperature. Set water to lukewarm, 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and install an anti-scald valve. Light it up. Use motion sensor nightlights in your bathroom and hallway. Stay connected. Keep a waterproof emergency call button within reach. Print this list. Tape it to your mirror. Share it with your parents, grandparents, neighbors. Because these small steps aren't just about avoiding risk. They're about choosing life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and share with your friends. Your support keeps these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if today's story touched your heart, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, stay well, and see you in the next story.